Hi everyone, Kyle here from Whitewake PH. Today, we'll be looking at the Kinu Pourover Burr, or the Kinu Pub for short. I don't know if you know this, but maybe 4 years ago, I posted a review on this grinder, the Kinu M47 Classic, which is my entry into the high-end world of hand grinders and also my entry point into becoming a serious coffee person. Sad to say, after, maybe 1 to 2 years after that video came out, I eventually stopped using the Kinu M47 in favor of other grinders, experimenting, exploring my sense of taste, seeing what grinders suited my profile. I eventually landed onto the ZP6, used that for a really long time, for 1 year plus, every day. And honestly, even as I was using the ZP6, I felt sad to have neglected this grinder because for me, the build quality is still next level. I really loved using it. It's just that the stock burr that came with the Kinu M47 is really designed for espresso. So it makes a lot of fines. It makes for a sweet-bodied coffee, but it doesn't excel in creating flavor separation and high clarity cups, which I prefer. So again, this thing was shelved. But after looking at the forums, after my experience competing in the April Brewers Cup, wherein the cup I brewed using the ZP6 lost out to my competitor who was using a C40, so she was using a burr set essentially that leaned towards something sweet, juicy, more blended, but again, sweet. Whereas mine was very clean, clarity focused. So I was like, maybe I should revisit the Kinu M47 and try the Pourover Burr set just to have more tools in the toolbox. It's just 2,200 pesos. It's locally available. I was like, why not? Because when you're competing, it's really either like you bring a Mischief Mini or use a hand grinder, especially if you're competing abroad. Because to bring something like this is just not possible, right? That thing is 20 kilograms. How will you bring that? How will you lug this around? It's impossible. So, hand grinders or tiny, really good electric grinders. That's the play. Competition. I've been using this thing for a month. The Kinu Pourover Burr, in my humble opinion, is God tier. It is amazing. It is amazing, flat out. It was released ahead of its time. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they released this Pourover Burr set. I looked at all the reviews on Reddit, on Home Barista, and all the coffee forums you could try and find. Because of course, I wanted to make a better cup of coffee. This is always the goal. Each search just led to users saying you get an incremental increase in flavor, clarity, and separation. Again, incremental. But you extend your grinding time by twofold. So instead of grinding 30 to 45 seconds with this 1 kilogram beast of a grinder, you would have to grind maybe 90 seconds for a small flavor improvement. That was the pitch. That was what everyone was saying. I was turned off. I didn't have as much of a high incomes then. So why would I buy it? Waste of money, waste of time, right? Man, was I wrong. And I don't fault them. Coffee back then was way different. I don't think there was as many light coffee roasters that prioritized giving clean and like super clear cups. It wasn't like that. Back then, it was grind as fine as you can, extract as high as possible, and that's how you make a tasty cup of coffee, which is exactly the opposite of the Kinu Pourover Burr. What the Kinu Pourover Burr excels at, or the Kinu Pub excels at, is grinding coarse. And it's such a fascinating coffee grinder because here's how I would describe it, all right? The ZP6 and the Option 01 Maizen is more similar. They have the same genre, meaning they present coffee with like treble plus 2. It's not neutral. They make coffee taste fun and exciting by default. They have a nice silky body, but it's just like a 1/5, but it's there. They've got like a low sweetness, but it's all out on flavor separation, clarity, but it's not as flavor transparent as possible. It's presenting those flavors in a fun and exciting, punchy sort of way. Whereas this one is a lot like my Zerno Z1 with the SSP Brewers V1 plus a medium feed auger. What this Kinu Pourover Burr does is present coffee in a very clean and flavor transparent way. You taste that coffee, the flavor notes present to you in a sequential sort of way. What do I mean by sequential? It's tough. With the ZP6, it's like you get flavor 1, then it stops, and then you get flavor 2, and then it stops, and then you get flavor 3, and it stops, right? It doesn't blend them. It's 1, stop, 2, stop, 3, stop. With the Kinu Pourover Burr, you get flavors 1 to 3, but they're mixing. They're weaving in and out towards one another, right? Like flavor 1 weaves into flavor 2, then flavor 2 weaves into flavor 3. That's how the flavors are perceived when you brew with this grinder. The flavor notes are very transparent. Like, you don't get a spike in acidity, you don't get an artificial increase in flavor intensity. What the coffee has is what you're gonna get. And I think that is fascinating because in the world of coffee grinders, especially in conical hand grinders, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. You need to go for a flat burr, brew-focused burr set in order to have something like this. And that's powerful. That is unique. It is doing something in the world of conical hand grinders that no other grinder is doing. So what I'm saying is this is effectively a PSA. If you have a Kinu hand grinder, you owe it to yourself to buy one of these and try it out for yourself because it's going to completely change the way your coffee will taste. That's a promise, that's a guarantee. Granted, it has a bit of a learning curve. It is weird, man, because you gotta grind coarse and the particle size distribution is all over the place. And it's so fun and fascinating to brew with. Even if, in my experience, even if you grind a little bit finer, total brew time remains the same. Why? Because it seems like the proportion of fines remains relatively the same. What happens is the coarse bits just get a little bit finer when you grind finer. You don't create so many micro fines that slow down the brew in a tremendous way. So what you're getting is, with the Kinu Pourover Burr, is a very wide particle size distribution, meaning you get a lot of coarse bits, a lot of medium bits, and a little bit of fines. Just enough fines to keep the brew interesting. And in my opinion, that wide particle size distribution is what's creating this perception of clarity, flavor transparency, complexity, and that weaving in and out sort of presentation that I'm telling you. In this section of the review, I'd like to show you how I like using the Kinu Pub. If you're a Kinu Pub user, I would love for your input as well. I think it would be great to discuss the pros and the cons of this unique burr set, and go down in the comments and please share your experience with the grinder or with the burr set. I'd love to hear it. My grinder, its 0 point is actually at 9, not 0. So that's something you should reference. But in general, I like grinding from 3.8, so 3 full rotations from 0.8 to 4.2 for pour over. And for AeroPress, I think 4.2 to 4.6 is the play. I like going coarser with this, so just for your reference. And because I like going coarser, I really enjoy pairing this burr set with slower flat bottom drippers, right? So April Brewer, Suji Wave, Suji Chihiro, just not blazing fast, right? The slow brewers with the increase in contact time gives a really beautiful body that I do not get when you brew it super fast. Although of course, that's also fun and you can calibrate well with that form of combination. I just like this. All right, anyway, so I'm dosing 13 grams of Zanya Natural And honestly, it's not that hard to grind, right? Like, see, you're grinding longer for sure compared to the stock burr. But the difference is the resistance is way less. So you don't have to do the death grip thing and use a lot of force. You're just chilling like this. But of course, if you're not that strong, if your grip strength isn't so high, it's a hassle because the Kinu M47 Classic in particular is heavy, right? It's more than 1 kilo heavy. So in that sense, maybe it's better for you to opt for the lower end or the more affordable Kinus. No way they're low end. Just the more affordable ones. So I finished grinding at around 40 seconds for a 13-gram dose. Really, for me, that's not so bad. Not so bad at all. So again, you know, if we look at the grind size, that is a wide particle size distribution. I'm telling you, it's weird. When you look at this, I can really understand why the reviews were so negative. Like, 'cause when you look at this, you're like, shit, is my grinder broken? But embrace the weirdness, because that's what makes the coffee tasty. We're dosing 13 grams of Zanya Natural into the Suji Chihiro. All right. You gotta love that Kinu build quality. Our grind size is at 3.8. Then we'll do a 3-pour recipe as usual. But the thing is, because we're grinding quite coarse, I think the best ratios for this burr set is between 14 to 15. So we'll do a 1:14 ratio to really increase this flavor intensity. Because that's the thing with the Kinu Pourover Burr. Because you're grinding quite coarse and you're prioritizing clarity and cleanliness of cup, you lose out on some flavor intensity, which I think is not super popular in terms of that kind of like flavor presentation brewing style. But you know, you gotta try it. It's super interesting. It allows you to really pick apart the flavor notes in the bag. So I put 13 grams of coffee is to 182 ml of water. Our total brew time here is going to be fast. 1 minute and 45 seconds is what I'm looking at. And that's just because Zanya Natural is naturally fast-flowing coffee. We have a pretty fast-flowing grinder because it's set to medium coarse. Let's go for a taste test. That is totally my style. I really love it. So what we're doing essentially with this grinder is grinding medium to medium coarse, somewhere there, taking as much clarity and flavor separation as possible without adding any treble or excitement. So what you get, what you see in the bag is really what you're going to get. And it's presented in such a clean and clear and flavor transparent way. It's amazing. But the body isn't as thin or as the ZP6. It's slightly more tactile. If the ZP6 is 1/5, this could be 1.5 to 2/5, which is good, right? It increases that perception of sweetness and body to give a little bit of weight to something that is so clean and crisp and flavor transparent. You use this to brew your really high-end coffee and it's going to sing. It's going to shine in the cup because the higher end you get usually when you buy your coffee, the more clean and crisp and intense those flavor notes are. So you don't necessarily want to pair those high-end coffees with grinders that are increasing flavor intensity artificially, right? So by using this, you're getting the good stuff and presenting it to you in the most clean, clear, flavor transparent way. Am I saying this is better than the Zerno Z1 with the SSP brewers? No, I'm not. I don't think it's in the same league. But again, this is a hand grinder and it's doing something super unique as a hand grinder. And I think everyone who owns a Kinu should have one and try it. There are two versions now, black fusion coated and the gold PVD. What I have is the black fusion coated. When I have the opportunity, I will buy the gold PVD version and I will give you a side-by-side. But for now, this is the black fusion one. Performing excellently. I love it. It's a keeper. I'm going to use my Kinu more often now. That's my in-depth review on the Kinu M47 Classic with the Pourover Burr. I love it so much. I'm so looking forward to your comments about this grinder and the Burr set. Please like if you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe. It will help us out a lot. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next time.